possibly 4 tonight, but we're going to try and get through them as soon as possible. We do have both teams in the lobby. We're going to switch over right now and take a look at the decks. On the Imperial side, dual Hunchback 2Cs, Ballistics. I like to call it the EMP Special. Most likely the Quad UAC 2s. They do have a Grasshopper 5P, thinking ER larges of some sort. A Spider 5K, Crit Seeker, 2 Kodiak 3s, another Spider 5K, and a Timberwolf. On SJR, we have dual Kodiak 3s, dual Hunchback 2CA energy variants, dual Timberwolves, and dual Jenner 2CA energy variants. Let's get in and take a look at drop 1 of the winner's bracket.
This is an interesting drop deck matchup, almost identical except for the light mechs. Those spiders are an endgame light mech. Those Jenners probably going to be a little more useful in the beginning than the spiders. It'll be interesting to see if we have a light engagement here. I think SJR would have the advantage in that. But if they leave those spiders up throughout the match and until the end, especially if they're large pulse or even large laser spiders, they have such a short duration. They can put out a little bit of damage, and then with those machine guns, just rip apart any mech that's left open.
Proton bringing the quad Gauss rifles. He was using that before, and he was extremely effective with it. The spiders are bringing ER larges, so they're going to look for some poke here. But they do have, of course, the Grasshopper instead of a Timberwolf as well, and then those ballistic Hunchbacks. Imperial really looking for some long-range trades here. On the Steel Jaguar side, I believe we've got Gauss PPC coming out of one of the Kodiaks, Gauss PPC out of the other. Of course, those machine guns used simply to hike up those Gauss rifles to the high shoulder, and Gauss PPC coming out of Jaeger. That's his signature mech. Some early shots heading down the field towards, looks like we've got the Timber and a Spider up there. Not much making contact on the approach, but it is kind of keeping Imperial's head down. Looks to me like Steel Jaguar is making an aggressive move.
And here comes the Hunchback. Took a lot of PPC fire on that initial trade by the Hunchback.
Yes, Seleth in that Hunchback 2C. Now, Hunchbacks like to be a little bit deceptive on the damage, but let's take a look at the paper doll. His left shoulder is almost open. The arm, of course,
took 3 PPCs to that left shoulder.
That's going to get them a little bit more of an advantage here, and I think they need that. But let's see whether or not it adds up. That arm is purely a shield arm, so if they lose that, it's not really going to cost them anything. But that left shoulder being a little bit open, they got to be pretty careful. But this is a very aggressive movement by Steel Jaguar. They did send their lights back 4 caps on Sigma Kappa, but they're right up here in the front. Winning currently on caps and tickets, but those initial trades went very well in their favor. They got to be feeling pretty good about how that went.
Right now, though, Solitude in that Grasshopper is way up in the spire, and that's a good position, I think, for the Grasshopper.
He's got, I'm pretty sure, those ER large lasers. Mech Warriors, so, whoopsie. Welcome to the Mech Warrior. I don't want to hear my voice twice. I left that unmuted there. But, all right, Solitude, yes, he has the high ground here. Let's see if he's able to get any view. Steel Jaguar keeping their heads down right now. Looks like they are doing a little bit more of a movement. They're kind of cutting back towards Theta right now.
There's a Hunchback in stage, but he's kind of alone. He's got the other Hunchback moving up to support. It looks like actually a couple mechs are rolling up the stage.
Ooh, really nice hits there on Slummy. He got a little bit cut out. His back torso is open. Those were definitely some good contact there, but they got their attention now. Jaeger attempting a cap on Theta, but there was a nice strike on him, and he's actually taking some hits, and Twinkie Overlord coming around from the right side just nails Jaeger with a hail of fire, and any damage advantage they had there definitely stripped away.
He lost his arm. He's about to lose a torso as well, I believe.
Piemaker doing his best to get out of Jaeger's way to allow him to escape, but that was a really bad trade. And
Jaeger lost both an arm and a torso, and the other torso is wide open. Jaeger is 1 shot from going down right now. That was a bad trade.
He does still have 2 of his weapon systems. He has lost 1 of his PPCs, however, but his shoulder is barely hanging on, so he's going to be playing pretty tight the rest of the match. But Twinkie Overlord stepping up and making some big plays when it mattered the most.
Yeah, that was huge out of Twinkie.
The lights are doing a lot of work on the backfield, doing some caps right now. Sigma has fallen in favor of Imperial, but they went and snagged Gamma as well. So still a ticket advantage for Steel Jaguar with Theta remaining untouched at this point. That high overwatch there might be able to start getting some shots in on Piemaker. He's got to be very careful to protect himself. Twinkie in a very good spot to punish anybody that comes out a little bit too aggressive, and he hasn't taken a single shot against his mech thus far. Now, to note, the spiders for Imperial...
I'd like to see the Jenners for SJR get up there and deal with those spiders. They have the advantage in a close fight. They need to press it now that they know where they are.
Well, Nova in water is watching a great airstrike, nailing Nova in water right across the bow. His back torso got opened up by that strike, and he actually...
And here comes one of the Jenners.
Became orange. Uncle Russ pushing up right now, trying to get in on Aurora. Nova in water did take a huge hit from that, though, and he is bailing out as quick as possible. So they were able to back those lights off, and they are crossing open field. I don't know if Steel Jaguar is going to have any sort of vision, though, because they've tucked themselves in. And I don't think that's going to be the case. Quicksilver up against Twinkie with Gauss PPC. Still doing pretty good on the armor. His back torso apparently got opened at some point, but now there's a light attempting to cap Theta. They want to get these tickets back in their favor, but Piemaker seems to be making some really bad trades, jumping up in the air, twisting, and getting shot up by Twinkie some more. His right leg is open, left leg is almost open. For the most part, his torsos are doing okay, but if he takes more to the leg, that's definitely going to cost him. Sigma.
They don't have an answer right now for Twinkie either. Both Kodiak, or one Kodiak and a Hunchback now up in the stage, and Solitude up there on that spire. ER Large is not doing a ton of damage, but just constantly putting out harassing fire on these mechs for SJR. I don't really like SJR's position at all right now.
At the same token, I'm a little okay with it. I'm worried if Imperial decides to get aggressive, how this is going to go. Ghost in that Hunchback 2CA getting hit by a great airstrike right on the top of his mech. But I think Imperial at some point is going to have to get aggressive because SJR has been maintaining a 3-cap now. They went back and got Sigma. They don't have their lights with them yet, but they have Sigma, Gamma, and Kappa.
SJR does have one of the Jenners with them, actually. I'm watching right now. He is by the ring.
Okay. So, okay, that's a Magician way in the back.
Yeah, that's a Hunchback all the way in the backfield.
Okay. If Imperial decides that they want to get aggressive here, they are higher. It's hard to say. Like, they've got more mechs hurt, but they're higher percentage average, I believe, than SGR. SGR has had some mechs that have made some really bad trades and really taken a beating for it. But, you know, I'm kind of okay with this right now, especially since SGR is kind of letting the tickets flow here, although 3-cap just flipped back in favor of Imperial. If they maintain
have a
3,
one of the Jenners going to Epsilon now.
Twinkie getting extremely aggressive right up in front. Piemaker is able to get a shot in, but we actually have Slummy now coming aggressive on the left side, and we got a bit of a pincer now.
He's getting aggressive now, absolutely.
They are, but they have to be very careful because they're only sending a couple mechs up at a time. They are getting some good hits, but then they're taking some hits in return. Everybody on the field's going to be very, very hurt, and if it does come down to caps, you know, having more mechs alive is a lot better than having not very many.
Here comes Twinkie pushing around again.
Proton
really wants to
coming up aggressively with that quad Gauss. He wants to finish
Jaeger's
somebody
about
off.
to go down.
He's going for Jaeger right now. Nobody has an answer for Proton, walking right up to the main line, and he takes him out. Twinkie coming along the left side.
Paying off right now.
Taking out Quicksilver, but tickets and caps still in favor of Steel Jag. They need to keep themselves alive, and they need to maintain that 3-cap, but Kappa now is about to fall to one of those spiders as well. Piemaker is the last line of defense between Proton and the rest of the team, but he's actually being distracted by one of those light mechs, which is at Kappa, and Aurora comes in with the machine guns. He's working Piemaker down as we speak. And 2 quick kills, though, for...
the light mech's now getting involved for SJR.
Piemaker doing a good job staying alive for the time being. Instead of going for the legs, Aurora seems to be going center torso on him, which is actually giving Piemaker more of an opportunity to waste his time. Kappa has fallen in favor of Imperial, but it looks like they're going to snag Theta back. Only 3 mechs remaining for SJR with 600 tickets left. It's the two light mechs that are remaining for SJR. They need to try and keep themselves alive. Solitude in that grasshopper.
They're engaging
aggressive.
way too much right now.
I think Theta is going to fall back down really shortly here. Sigma is about to be contested by Light as well. About 100 tickets remaining in the game, which means with a 2 cap, about 50 seconds. I don't know if these 2 lights are going to be able to hold these guys off for 50 seconds. One of them is cutting to Gamma right now, which could give them another cap back. But Sigma's about to fall, and I think T-Fun might be just doing his best to keep them off of Epsilon.
Yeah, and if he can engage this mech heading over to Epsilon right now, is this the Spider?
This is 1v1 versus Spider.
Over. He has an advantage versus the Spider.
He does, and he has all of his armor remaining. The Spider is open. T-Fun could potentially take that Spider out.
Here's the problem, though. That Spider's going to try and keep him at range.
That's fine.
If he pushes up aggressively on the Spider, he's going to get into range of the other mechs engaging. And here's Solitude in the Grasshopper, fresh as can be.
50 tickets left. Well. With a 2 cap, that would be about 25 seconds remaining. He's got to keep them off of Epsilon as long as he can, but Solitude in the Grasshopper is coming around. T-Fun needs to get the kill right here. 1 shot, left torso, and he can take that Spider out. He does get him. Now he just needs to stay alive and do not let Solitude flip Epsilon. Gamma is about to be capped, but on that side, he's about to get hit too. 35 tickets remaining. T-Fun in a death battle with Solitude, but they got to keep Gamma as well. 25 tickets is about 12 seconds on a 2 cap, and T-Fun goes down. That is huge. On the other side of the map, all that's left is Uncle Russ has to keep this. He gets taken out, and they're going to flip it.
I don't think it's going to be enough.
Gamma has a lot of cap, but it's not going to be enough. They are going to flip this one over, and there's 12 tickets remaining. That was incredibly close. If T-Fun stayed alive for even 5 more seconds, maybe. I mean, if both of them stayed alive for 5 more seconds, they could have won that. It was that close. That was incredible. Good effort by SJR. They almost pulled it off.
Overlord, 926 damage, 2 kills in an 8v8 match. That is a ton of damage.
Whew. He was doing a lot of the work that entire time, being a massive threat. And SJR put all of their eggs in the cap strat basket there. If anything would have been different in the caps in favor of SJR, they would have won it right there.
Absolutely.
They needed just a little bit longer. Even with a one cap point, all he needed to do was stay alive for 10 more seconds, but those two mechs getting on top of him, taking him out. I can't believe Solitude was able to take T-Fun out like that with the ER large lasers.
T-Fun was very hurt by the time Solitude closed in. Spider actually did a great job opening him up.
It was a very good attempt. It was so close. But EMP takes drop 1, which means SJR is going to be able to pick the side for drop 2.
And it looks like SJR is going team 1.
So they will be switching sides now. Let's do a giveaway. Gonna load up the people. That was adrenaline rush, even just watching that.
Adrenaline right there.
If that's what this is gonna be like, I can't wait to see drop 2, man. Oh boy, I can't wait to see chat seeing that too. But here we go. This is for a standard mech pack. Giveaway 2 brought to you by Latch and Friends. He offers it for free to anybody who wants to use this for their streams. So go look him up. The winner of the first standard pack giveaway of the night, MWO Troll. Congratulations, MWO Troll. Interesting name you have there. Please send Bandit B17 a whisper with your in-game name and the mech pack that you want. Alright, let's go to the replay.
The only thing I think SJR might have wanted to do differently there, they weren't as aggressive in the cap game at the beginning as they could have been. I don't know whether that was to kind of keep EMP trading or just, worried about a push and wanted the lights with them, but they could have probably played a little harder for caps than they did. Maybe that would have turned the game, but at the same time, maybe that would have forced EMP to move sooner and gotten the opposite result for them.
All right, so looking at the replay here, Twinkie Overlord right up in front, getting very aggressive. They end up sending Proton in to finish it off. Danger close, completely fresh, quad Gauss. Steel Jaguar is very hurt. Imperial is hurt as well, but an aggressive maneuver by Imperial could very well just completely dominate the rest of Steel Jaguar's line. Oh, man. But Proton coming in and landing some of those shots on some of those key mechs like Jaeger. And, with the quad Gauss, with everybody as open as they are, it only takes one shot a pop, really. Proton walking right up to him. Jaeger trying to get around that corner and return fire, but he's just so fresh at this point. And this is where Steel Jaguar starts dropping relatively quick. Now, we already have a movement towards Kappa to try and flip the cap, but Epsilon flipped back in favor of SJR, which keeps the tickets moving in their favor. At this point, it's getting close to needing a 4 cap or more to win for Imperial at this point even. But Theta is neutralized and Piemaker in there against Aurora. Now, the time that Piemaker wasted on Aurora continued to hit kind of center torso on Piemaker. Even though his legs were wide open, he could have killed Piemaker instantly, but instead spent a very long time working on him, with the other spider actually poking him in the rear from Kappa instead of moving to the next cap point. So very good job by Piemaker just tying up those 2 lights for as long as he did, but ended up going down. Just the 2 lights remaining. T-Fun capping Theta, gets a little bit of hits in from Solitude, who is very fresh as well. There's no way he'd be able to kill him. But then jukes himself off to Epsilon just to lock it down. Uncle Russ is the other light, heading over to get a cap on Gamma. Looks like he's going as fast as he possibly can. Well, Sigma is just off on its own. It is a full cap on Sigma, too. That bought them some time. Only 1 mech going to cap Sigma. Gave them a little bit of time. So T-Fun versus a Spider. And like you said, the Spider was able to do some work on T-Fun. It took, I'd say that was about, what, 4 alphas from T-Fun? And he was alphaing very slow because he did not want to miss. Aurora was open, and all he needed was a really solid alpha. But he was hanging out a little bit at range, taking some of that ER large to the chest. Then Aurora comes in with those machine guns, which are crit seekers. If anything gets opened up, it's going to hurt like hell. But gets in there to stop the cap. And I thought that, even though he took a little bit of damage, still winning that light fight, it really gave him a chance. But Solitude just cruising in as fast as he possibly can. If he even arrived even a couple seconds late, I think T-Fun could have gotten back around the corner and maybe just been harassing on Solitude to prevent the recap. But T-Fun losing his life here, just trying to juke around the corner. Solitude working him down with, it looked like it was almost full alpha strikes there, maybe 3 at a time, 3 and 2. But this ring around the rosy by T-Fun, very good effort. And Epsilon quickly flips back. Uncle Russ alone gets surrounded by Carnage and Selith, taken out immediately. And it was that close. Amazing. So well played Imperial, but SGR, they definitely got him sweating on that one.
But here we are, ready. Drop 2. SJR needs a win to avoid dropping down into the loser's bracket. They are switching up Team 1.
On SJR, we have a Warhammer 6R Timberwolf, 2 Kodiak 3s, a Hunchback 2C Ballistic, Hunchback 2C A Energy, and 2 Jenner 2C Energy. For EMP, we've got an identical deck that they brought last time. Yep. Everything appears to be the same. Let's take a look.
I think the other thing, and we pointed out this early during that last match, but SJR with some bad individual trades, taking a lot of damage, had those mechs go down a little quicker when the final push came. Maybe that also led into it. If you could stay alive for a little bit longer in that final push, you can get a couple more tickets.
Yeah, Jaeger getting caught out like that was pretty big, losing half his mech essentially, and getting some of that center torso damage in as well. Pie Maker did, last a while against that light mech, but the same token, he took a lot of hits himself. And like I said, I'm still surprised that they didn't go for legs on him. They were wide open. But perhaps a little bit of tunnel vision there or something. But he bought a lot. It bought his team a lot of time with that.
Yeah.
All right, Steel Jaguar on Team 1. Initial movement. They are not even looking towards Alpha Lance. Selith, Proton, Twinkie, all the big boys over here on Alpha Lance for Team 2 on Imperial. Selith taking an initial look over there, just trying to see what SJR is doing. But looks like SJR is gathering together near stage, which it's a good position, but at the same token, it is a little silhouetted, and they got to be careful not to take a bunch of extra hits as they cross over. Magician going aggressively up and over, and he's kind of the front mech there with Ruza right behind him, taking quite a bit of damage on this
movement. Yeah, he is taking a lot of damage.
They are definitely doing a moving power position here. They're popping shots up into that upper spire, well moving, but they're taking some hits as well, and I don't think they're necessarily landing a lot of shots up on that spire. Slummy and Selith both have taken some damage. Ruza and Magician on the other side.
Is that Twinkie again right over on the other side of the ring? Yes. That is Twinkie sitting right on the other side of the ring. Got some free damage in.
If they don't know he's there, they're gonna have to be really careful because he's gonna be putting some big hurt in. And it looks like they're leaving G-Man behind. I don't know if he's doing that on purpose, but Quad Goss all on his own. They're gonna rush him. They're gonna take him out while Steel Jaguar moves the rest of their team up, I think, to try and jump on the backside. So this is either gonna work really well or really badly, depending on how well G-Man can keep those guys off of him. If they ignore him, though, they're gonna have a Kodiak in their backside once Steel Jaguar pushes around.
And so far, G-Man's not getting harassed.
He's not, but SJR is landing some really good shots on Slummy. He is very hurt. He's lost half of his mech. His other torso is in danger, and they take him down. The first kill is against Imperial as Steel Jaguar continues their hard move, but they're getting hit from the side where Twinkie Overlord and Heimdallite were standing. They do have G-Man and T-Fun over there, and it looks like Aurora in that spider is going up to harass G-Man. Nobody is dead yet for Steel Jaguar, but they have a lot of really hurt mechs. Uncle Russ taking out Twinkie Overlord, and the Lights have joined the fight to help G-Man out on the backside. Heimdallite alone there gets taken out by Uncle Russ, and now it's a 3v1 against Aurora. This is a very good push by Steel Jaguar. They have lost Ruza, but there still is a lot of beef up here, and their push is stalled out. They're trading around the corner against Proton.
G-Man gets a sneak kill from the side on Salith.
Center torso is open for Proton. 1 or 2 good shots could take him out, but none of those Gauss rifles are at risk of dying. Nova in water with those crit-seeking machine guns up against Jaeger into the center torso, and he takes him out. 2 dead now for Steel Jaguar. 3 cap in favor of Imperial.
And Proton kills Uncle Russ as he's trying to come up there. What a comeback right now by
Proton does go down, but Ghost gets shot in the back by Nova and Water with Solitude up in the front. 2 mechs against 2 mechs. T-Fun and G-Man still doing pretty good. Nova and Water is not open anywhere, so he's got a little bit of life in him, but Solitude in the backfield, center torso open.
Grasshopper. This is not a good trade right now for EMP, but the Spider now moving in. G-Man's going to have to deal with him on his own.
And G-Man gets a big hit on Nova and Water, who is very fresh. Solitude is open center torso. 1 or 2 more shots, and T-Fun takes him down, and this one goes in favor of Steel Jaguar in an epic push.
I almost thought Proton was going to win that one on his own.
They had him open center torso. They didn't even touch his Gauss rifles with that quad Gauss They went straight to the CT. They wanted to take him down as efficiently as possible, and he was able to take a couple more out before going down himself. Finally taking him out was almost like a breath of fresh air, though, because that takes a hell of a lot of very pinpoint firepower off the field. Solitude was hurt CT, but Nova and Water was doing really, really good. G-Man scoring that kill on Nova was big, because G-Man, he's not open yet, but if he was facing both Solitude and Nova at the same time, T-Fun was a little bit too far away to be able to help out just then. If G-Man didn't take him down in that volley and was forced to either ignore Nova or turn on him, he would have started getting shot in the back by Solitude, and that could have gone completely the other way. But that big kill on that Spider allowed him to focus with his teammate on Solitude and take him out. Big plays right there. What a match.
3 kills for G-Man. 3 kills for Proton. 546 damage for G-Man, 575 for Proton.
I'm a little surprised that they
like
didn't rush G-Man there with Twinkie and Heimdallite over there. They left G-Man alone. He was in cover, but I was really worried that they would send somebody in to just stomp him. It was hard to tell right away whether he was staying back because he had to or if he was staying back by design. But it seemed like it was by design because he had the backup of his lights, and he was able to start doing some work with that pincer there.
Yeah.
Almost alone, keeping EMP from being able to necessarily retreat around that corner or get comfortable around that corner. And it was just a presence.
Those Jenners coming back to support G-Man were huge, though.
Absolutely. If they did not come back and help him out, he would have been dead very, very quickly. So that was very, very big. But we're 1-1 now. We are 1-1. SJR wins drop 2, and we have to see which team is which. Let's do the roll to see who team 1 is. On Canyon Network. And the winner of Team 1 is Imperial. Imperial will be representing Team 1 on Canyon Network. Coming up in a little bit here. While that goes on, while he gets ready, we're going to do another standard mech pack. Load in those viewers. Quite a few of you out there today. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
You know what? This, just now, what we just watched, was the first time Imperial has lost in the 2016 MWO World Championships tournament.
Even including the qualifiers.
Including the qualifiers, including the regional matches they played. Admittedly, only 2 so far, or 3 before this match. They had not lost until just now.
And the winner of the standard mech pack is God Kadu. Congratulations, God Kadu. Send Bandit P17 a whisper with your in-game name and the standard mech pack that you want. Standard $20 mech pack. Giveaway tool, of course, brought to you by Latch and Friends. That guy's awesome. I've been working with him a lot, trying to get all this working properly, and you guys can download it too. It's very slick. Spice up your streams. He's a good guy. All right, let's go take a look at the replay. All right, so the big thing here is Steel Jaguar was doing a moving power position, as I like to call it. They were moving, they were armor sharing together, but the big thing is this wasn't a brawl rush. They had long-range weapons, and they were using them on the move the entire time against sometimes moving targets, sometimes stationary targets, but they were landing their shots. I was watching the percentages for Imperial, and Imperial was taking hits, and they were getting a little weakened. Now, the 2 low percentages for EMP on the screen right now are Hunchback 2Cs. And as we know, for some reason, Hunchback 2Cs, they like to be deceptive once those arms get knocked off. You start thinking they're in huge pain or something. But they caught Slummy out. I think Slummy was playing up on that spire and had a long way to run to catch up with Steam. And that moving power position was able to move up, catch him in the open, and get that first kill, which is big. Now, they left G-Man behind on purpose, I'm thinking. He did start getting harassed by Lights, but the Jenners got in there. Uncle Russ coming in and taking Twinkie Overlord out. That had to have been a backstab or something. The fact that those Jenners were able to get in there and take out both Twinkie and Heimdallite in rapid succession is big. Arara was getting in there on G-Man, but he had light support, and they were going to be able to work that out. Now, Steel Jaguar stalled out in the low ground here and started playing the poke game again against Imperial with Proton up there in that quad Gauss. Now, with how damaged these Steel Jaguar mechs are, it doesn't take much to kill those mechs with those quad Gauss rifles. They can fire them 2 at a time, 0.5 seconds apart or so. And Proton start making some big kills. Nova and Water coming up behind and killing Pie Maker and then getting on Magician and Ghost. And that front line for Steel Jaguar getting shredded down. But a couple more key kills in the backfield. And, of course, killing Proton was huge. So we've got Grasshopper versus Kodiak. Jenner versus Spider. Center torso open for that Grasshopper. Nova and Water doing pretty good. And this right here, I think, is a huge, huge moment. Gauss rifle right into Nova and Water, taking him down. Light Mech T-Fun coming around the backside, able to jump Solitude, and the big win for SJR to keep them alive in this match. And we're heading into Drop 3 with EMP on Team 1, SJR Team 2 on Canyon Network. Big plays, big plays. Good maneuver by Steel Jaguar. Let's see if they can do that again on Canyon Network. Both teams in lobby getting readied up. We'll be taking a look at their decks momentarily. But I'm pumped already. Yeah, this has been
I posted it in chat, but I just have to say, are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
Is this not why you are here?
Right off the bat, 2 of the most entertaining drops in the entirety of the regional finals, in the entirety of the tournament. Right off the bat. It's going to be tough to top that, but if anybody's going to do it, the 3 teams that are left in North America can probably pull this off.
That, was that a double kill by Proton there to pull that into 2v2?
I'm going to go back and look at it right now.
Go back and look at that last sequence right before Proton dies. I think it was a double kill. I think Proton just went on a rampage right before he died. I mean, I was like, wow, SJR is going to roll through them.
Proton reached across and got Uncle Russ, actually. He reached across, got Uncle Russ, and then turned back around and got G-Man, but then Ghost gets in there with the Hunchback and takes him out. That reach across, where did Uncle Russ go down? Was he still near Theta when he went down?
No, he was moving up close to try and harass, actually. He was
approaching.
He was approaching at the edge of the pit, coming right up, and I thought, honestly, that's when I thought it was over, because I was like, Uncle Russ is going to get in here and start harassing him. And Proton turns around and just sits him down.
I'm going to zoom it up a little bit further here. Okay, there's Uncle Russ right here, jump jetting up. He actually got a shot in on, I think, Solitude maybe. There he is right here. He's moving away from the edge. So Proton actually has to turn all the way around, almost 180 degrees. And Magician and Ghost weren't able to get up in time to save Uncle Russ, but Ghost was able to get the kill on him.
That was... I got pumped.
That's why I couldn't see Russ here, because he's underneath the camera at this point. He started moving away towards Epsilon, causing or making Proton spin all the way around to get him, but had just enough cover to get the kill on Uncle Russ before turning back. But that Hunchback was extremely hurt, and the fact that he, in his last breath, was able to take Proton out was big. That's Ghost right here. He's fallen apart. He's got the machine guns right behind him. Gets the kill, but then gets shot up by the machine guns and Solitude right up in front. But taking Proton out just at the end there was pretty big.
Well, let me ask you something.
What's that?
Would you like to watch another?
I'd like to watch another.
Shall we do it again?
Let's do it. Let's take a look at the decks. Imperial that Hunchback 2C, Jenner 2C's A's, Grasshopper, Timber, Kodiaks, and Hunchback 2C. Nothing has changed on the Imperial deck, at least at the mech level. SJR.
Well, they don't have the spiders anymore.
Oh, they've switched to the Jenners. Gotcha. Good catch. Good catch. SJR, though, they have the Kodiaks, the Grasshopper, the Jenner 2CAs. They've added Aerosai in that Grasshopper. He's pretty beastly in that. But they're in Team 2 on the north side. Do you think we're going to see Aerosai over in Junkyard? I asked that every single time, even though everybody else seems to go into their favorite positions. For some reason, Aerosai in the Junkyard just always rings a bell. I gotta call him out every single time for that.
I don't even... Sounds like a strange story, like a weird Clue match. It was Aerosai in the Junkyard with the Grasshopper.
ER large lasers and the Grasshopper. All right.
Here we go.
We are on
drop 3, match 5, winners bracket. Who will continue on?
Now, neither of these teams at risk of elimination at this point. This is not an elimination round. But there's Aerosai in that Grasshopper. It is such an
advantage to stay in the winners bracket. You only need to win 2 games, and you get 2 opportunities to win those 2 games in the winners bracket. Losers bracket, you must win 4.
So Aerosai heading up to that Junkyard for an initial peek. He's going to get some looks over towards Bucket Hill, where Slummy and Solitude setting up to counter him. So that's a 2v1 at this long-range exchange. Let's see if he's able to do this safely without taking too much damage. There's a wide spread of mechs for Imperial across the board. Selith out on the left flank.
Is getting beaten up here.
Heimdallite and the Timber in the middle. EMP is split 4-4 on either side of the map right now. Steel Jaguar kind of doing something similar. They still have somebody set up near Sigma. The Magician way in the back. Even if he hits somebody, it's going to be pure scratch at that distance. It is pretty extreme. But 2 mechs, Aurora, Nova, and Water, those Jenners, up on the Kappa side. I think they're just waiting for Uncle Russ to try and get a cap, but he's not going in. He's taking a look and giving that information to Selith, who only has his arm open at this point. But at any moment, those lights could jump into action and start sweeping around that Kappa side. It has to be very, very careful. Still exchanges going back and forth between Aerosai and the 2 guys at Bucket Hill. Aerosai knocked down to 82%. Center torso is a little bit orange on the armor there, but he moves over and starts to get some shots into Proton. He's got to be very careful because he's going to have some shots tossed right back at him.
Slummy starting to take a little bit of damage as well now.
He moves up a little bit aggressively to peek around that left side, but starts getting wailed on by Selith in those UAC2s. Now, it's light weaponry, but it can add up. But Ruza spreading the damage as he backed up. It does add up.
Slummy does have an open torso in that Hunchback. He's kind of gotten a little less aggressive now.
Twinkie Overlord pushed up right up to that Epsilon corner. G-Man right there as well, but these guys are very, very close to each other. One bad peek is going to end with a lot of UACs in the face, and it looks like Twinkie might be creeping up. He wants to maybe take a look over here. He's got to be very careful, though. This is going to be a lot of slow trading. They're just waiting for somebody to make a big mistake that's going to open it up, and you're going to see things unfold very quickly if somebody goes down. Now, we are seeing a little bit of a light exchange here. They have the backup of Selith here, but they're trying to catch Uncle Russ, who is in full retreat and actually turning around. He's effectively cut off from the rest of his team at this point. I don't know. I'm assuming they know it because they're doubling back on him, but he's trying to juke. He's got to be very careful, though. If they take Uncle Russ down, that's going to be huge. He's heading up the ramp right now. He's actually coming up behind Selith. T-Fun went running off. Uncle Russ still trying to juke, but now he's got the 2 lights on him. That could be very bad.
He is in a world of pain right now.
Oh, back shot by Aurora, and he gets taken out. We are seeing an aggressive movement by Steel Jaguar up the left side. Twinkie Overlord dropped down. They got some shots on a Proton. Both of those Kodiaks now down in the low ground, but they have 2 mechs cut off at Bucket Hill. Solitude and Slummy are going to try to last as long as they can, but they've got Heimdallite coming over in the Timberwolf. Those Kodiaks are out of commission at this point. They could rush up on Bucket Hill, take these 2 out very quickly before the Kodiaks can respond, and Slummy goes down. There's 1 dead on each. Solitude goes down as well, and that's a big play. Twinkie Overlord does get up. Twinkie Overlord is able to shimmy up the side and start getting shots into the back of G-Man and takes out that Kodiak. That's another big response, and those Kodiaks are now back up and firing. We've got a very close range engagement here. T-Fun trying to get a little bit of poke on Heimdallite, and Heimdallite is coming down to respond to him. But those small pulse lasers are adding up. Proton with a big kill on Erisai with those
and the lights now
quad
for
Goss.
EMP closing in.
Jaeger gets
down.
shredded down, and SJR is in a world of hurt here. They're in a lot of trouble. Proton now uncontested, able to just continue throwing Goss downfield. They do have these two mechs up at Bucket Hill, but Aurora is right there, perfectly fresh, and it's not looking good at all for SJR. Oh, there's Aurora with a small pulse mixed with an airstrike. Last one remaining is Ghost, and Imperial's gonna take drop 3.
Losing Uncle Russ at the beginning there really hurt, I think, SJR. Not a good move by him. Doubling back, I'm not sure. Maybe he was trying to distract them while SJR pushed.
Possibly.
Either way, it didn't work out.
It seemed to me like the rush by SJR was kind of in sync with what was happening on the light side. They knew they had Selith, but Selith was hauling ass, attempting to get back to his team because he knew that stuff was going on. But the lights were able to work down Uncle Russ. I kind of like what SJR did. They were able to cut through the middle. They forced the Kodiaks down into the low ground, and that gave them a few precious seconds to try and take the guys down from Bucket Hill. And that was good. That gave them the advantage right off the bat there. They did take a lot of damage on the approach, though. Those Kodiaks immediately ran to that corner, were able to shimmy their way up, come back around the corner, and start getting back cores on people. That flipped it immediately back in the other direction. I don't think they were ready for those Kodiaks to re-enter the fight that quickly and from that angle. And those guys getting back up there and re-engaging was gigantic, and it really gave EMP this one right back. Oh boy, so Imperial takes drop 3 on Canyon Network against Steel Jaguar. That means SJR is going to be dropping to the elimination bracket to play 228 Blackwatch.
Wow, what a round. What a great match.
Quick look at the bracket as it stands. Imperial sitting up in the winner's bracket, waiting at match 8 to see who's going to come out ahead. Steel Jaguar 228. Then they will play again. If Steel Jaguar wins against 228, 228 will be eliminated from the regional finals, and we'll see Steel Jaguar versus Imperial yet again, going head-to-head on Tourmaline to see who gets knocked out. Now, if Imperial loses, they have another shot, and we'll be going to a match 9. But if Steel Jaguar loses, it's all over, and Imperial's headed to Vancouver.
That being said, 228 still has to play.
Absolutely. So we'll be getting those teams, Steel Jaguar and 228, in lobby shortly to play out the next match. But let's do a giveaway. Gonna set this up, get it going. Let's take a look. Some epic action, though, man. That one wasn't quite as close, but it was still, you know, knockdown, drag-out action. It was exciting as hell. And the winner is Flemard66. Congratulations. Send Bandapy17 a whisper on Twitch with your in-game name and the Mac pack that you want. All right. Let's go back and watch the replay. Actually back up a little bit. A little bit too far. Okay. So we're over here watching the trades going on. Now, we didn't see Uncle Russ going up and putting up a UAV, and those lights were already in motion catching up to him. Now, he starts backing out as fast as he can, but they're very close to small pulse range. He could have just ran away at that point. I honestly think he could have run away, but maybe he considered this to be some sort of distraction. He wanted to loop around back onto Selith, but keeping those lights tied up could have been big. Tying up two mechs for one is pretty big, but of course getting killed right here, that nullifies that very quickly. Selith, he wanted Selith. You could tell he wanted Selith.
Selith was already headed back towards Theta at that point, though.
It was, but he was getting scratched from behind by Uncle Russ. If Uncle Russ had even a couple more steps, he could have started doing some work, especially if he was able to juke those two lights, but they enveloped him very quickly. So this hard rush on the left side, they're able to cut off these two mechs at Bucket Hill, but they're taking a lot of damage on the approach. G-Man incredibly hurt. A lot of people very hurt. T-Fun doing alright and Magician doing alright. They're able to come in here and get two of these kills very quickly, which is big. But look at that. The Kodiak, Twinkie Overlord already up there. Proton shimmying up right behind him. They got some return fire on Twinkie, but he was able to take G-Man out and then start pouring that UAC in at his optimal range. T-Fun trying to get a little bit of scratch on Heimdallite. It was looking alright. He kept Heimdallite occupied and was getting shots in, but Nova and Water able to get down there and start harassing him as well. Airasai gets taken out. Jaeger gets taken out, so G-Man and Jaeger down in the middle there, and it's just a slaughter at this point from multiple angles. T-Fun versus Nova and Water. I think he got legged right there, and the two remaining at Bucket Hill against a perfectly fresh Arara, able to just start finishing it off.
Yeah, and that's got to be bad news when you see Proton and Twinkie shimmy up that hill that quickly. Those are two of the best assault pilots in the game. Put them in a Kodiak, and it's just terrifying.
It is. I mean, Twinkie used to be... Well, not used to be, but Twinkie was one of the best Direwolf pilots in the game for sure, and loved playing that mech, and he's found himself a new home in these Kodiaks. Part of me thinks he wishes he was back in the Direwolf, because he seemed to like it so much. But no arguing, Kodiak is the king of the tournament client right now. We see them in every single drop, hands down.